Hello and welcome to this presentation on enhancing international trade through SPS. For more information, please contact the Ohio State University Department of Plant Pathology. All aspects of agricultural trade between and within nations are subject to WTO SPS regulations. Prior to the advent of the SPS agreement, countries were reluctant to open their borders to agricultural exports from other countries, especially where such commodities were suspected of being infested with pests. By laying down regulations that address such genuine concerns, the SPS agreement has proved to be a great enhancement to international trade. How do SPS measures work? SPS measures are normally initiated following what is known as an initiation event. Such an event may be an import request form an intending importer. Once such a request is received, the first SPS measure is the identification of the export pathway and a list of pests associated with the commodity. The importing country then identifies the exotic pest on the pest list that it wants to keep out. The SPS agreement requires that this decision should be transparent and backed by scientific evidence showing that the identified exotic pests are indeed absent in the importing country. A pest risk analysis is thereafter conducted to determine the actual level of risk associated with the commodity. A pest risk analysis also usually shows the mitigation measures that the exporter proposes to implement at each step in the export pathway. Once the importing country is satisfied that its concerns have been sufficiently addressed, it may then agree that production and shipment of the commodity may commence, following a procedure that has been mutually agreed upon. The following diagram represents a generalized pathway that the agricultural produce bound for export to another country has to follow, and the regulatory authorities that enforce compliance with international standards. Although agricultural produce may become contaminated with pathogens anywhere in the farm-to-table chain, a vast majority of the pests and diseases associated with agricultural produce infest the produce at the farm level before it is harvested. Some infestation also takes place during harvest, processing, and packaging. For example, vegetable produce can become infested with Salmonella or E. coli when they have been irrigated with contaminated water. Both of these bacteria cause severe illness in humans when they are eaten in vegetables. Other human pathogens can also get into vegetable produce through sick farm workers or from cuts on workers' hands during processing and packaging. Poor pest management in the field can also result in an unacceptably high disease and pest populations in the produce, making it unfit for export. In order to eliminate such problems, growers are required to implement good agricultural practices. This means that the growers are expected to implement practices that will enhance the safety of agricultural commodities as they are produced, harvested, processed, transported, and distributed to consumers throughout the world. Good agricultural practices are normally applied through sustainable agricultural methods such as integrated pest management, integrated fertilizer management, and conservation agricultural, while taking into account economic, environmental, and social sustainability. When applied correctly, good agricultural practices can have many benefits. The International Plant Protection Convention provides for a wide range of powers and responsibilities that the NPPO has to exercise. Before shipment, the NPPO will inspect the produce and its accompanying documents and ensure that they match up and that the commodities meet the required standards. When the NPPO is satisfied, it will then issue a phytosanitary certificate for the commodity before it is loaded onto the ship or cargo plane. A phytosanitary certificate is an official document issued by an exporting country which certifies that the phytosanitary status of a shipment meets the phytosanitary regulations of the importing country. Through its issuance of an phytosanitary certificate, an exporting country is verifying that the shipment has been inspected and conforms to the phytosanitary import requirements of the importing country. In addition, the phytosanitary certificate indicates that the shipment is free of pests and diseases that do not exist in the importing country. Throughout the duration of shipping, the exporter will maintain contact with the NPPO, which in turn stays in touch with the Regional National Plant Protection Organization. Once the imported agricultural produce enter the market through the marketing chain, they become subject to several national regulatory agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, USDA APHIS, Department of Human Health and Services. These ensure that the produce is safe and that it continues to be safe until it is eaten. SPS actually does not stop until we have eaten the food. On the individual level in our homes, we are expected to observe proper handling of the produce, including washing fruits and vegetables before eating, proper cooking of what needs to be cooked, and refrigeration where it is required.